And I'll tell you what a little pat of butter does for fresh sweet corn. And a creamery butter makes fresh zucchini gourmet cuisine. You know, green beans would turn blue if they knew that I was out of butter. So head to the store and have your veggies Willard's way with real butter. Now, where'd those Brussels sprouts run off to? Bacon, bacon, bacon.
Say, did you know Oscar Mayer has an easier way to find leaner bacon?
Oh, yeah?
Just find the Oscar Mayer center cut bacon section.
Okay.
Cover your eyes.
That's easy.
And pick any package.
Any package. I got it. It worked.
Right. Because hand-trimmed Oscar Mayer center cut bacon is verified 25% leaner than regular bacon. So it's just the best that it can be.
We got it. What a team.
Oscar Mayer center cut bacon. So much leaner you can buy it with your eyes closed.
KSTP, Minnesota's news channel 5. Now, live, this is Eyewitness News.
Look to the right. This is videotape of the jumbo jet as it crashed. And this is all that's left of United Flight 232. It was supposed to land in Chicago. Instead, it's just rubble in an Iowa field. The DC-10 with 290 people on board was heading for Chicago from Denver. For some reason, it lost all hydraulics. No steering, no brakes. The pilot tried to make an emergency landing in Sioux City, Iowa. The plane burst into flames, flipped over, then broke into pieces. Debris scattered for miles. Miraculously, some people walked away from this mess. Of the 290 people on board, it's estimated 125 survived.
ABC broke the news of this air disaster shortly after 4 this afternoon.
Immediately, Eyewitness News dispatched crews from our News Star network to the scene in Sioux City, and we'll talk to one of them in just a moment.
But first, Pat Mylan has been monitoring the satellite feeds from all over the country and has compiled everything that's available so far.
When United Airlines Flight 232 crashed at Sioux City Gateway Airport, rescue crews were ready and waiting, but the DC-10 never got to the runway. The troubled aircraft was so crippled it crashed just short of the airport in a farm field. Here is what we know at this time about Flight 232. 1 o'clock, the aircraft leaves Denver's Stapleton Airport, bound for Chicago's O'Hare Airport. At 3:40 came the first sign of trouble. The captain radioed that an engine had exploded. At 35,000 feet, the captain said he thought he could land the airplane. The tower says he seemed calm. A few minutes later, Flight 232 descended to 11,000 feet. By now, the captain reported a complete hydraulics failure, meaning that there essentially was no control now over the DC-10. The captain reported that the passengers were well behaved. 4 o'clock, the plane crashed with 298 people on board. Ken Conrad of Afton, Minnesota, was on board another airplane waiting to take off when the disaster unfolded before his eyes.
And somebody said, look at that. I was sitting right by the window. I looked out the window, and there was a big DC-10 crashing on the runway, turning over cartwheels. The crash was over so fast, it was unreal. When I first saw it, there was a wing into the ground, and it was turning. And it just seemed to just disintegrate, and there was a lot of dust and smoke around it. And then it just settled down, and you couldn't hardly see any pieces. You could see the one tail engine sitting on the runway, and it was like it was flat out there.
The emergency crews on the scene immediately began gathering the survivors and moving them quickly to this nearby hospital. At last count, 125 people were said to have survived the crash of Flight 232. At the Marion Health Center, a spokeswoman says they are treating burns and multiple injuries on survivors. Rescue workers say it took everyone they could find to get the injured people into ambulances and to the center for treatment.
Now, in just the last few minutes, we've gotten an update on the death list, and at this point, they are saying 190 people have been killed in the crash of Flight 232. One other interesting and chilling note about this crash. The flight crew told the passengers exactly what was going on. They came on the loudspeaker and told them that they had lost all control of this airplane, and they told them very frankly, we're going to crash.
Those last few moments must have been awful. All right, thank you, Pat.
United Airlines officials held a news conference tonight, but they shed virtually no light on the tragedy. They expressed profound sympathy for the families of the victims, and they asked anyone who wants information about the accident to call your local United reservations number. Now, in the Twin Cities, that number is 339-3671. Again, the United information number for the Twin Cities is 339-3671.
And tonight, Twin Cities medical personnel are ready and waiting for a phone call. They're prepared to help in every way possible should Iowa authorities need more emergency medical assistance. Dr. Michael Breen shows us the initial steps local disaster teams are taking in case they get that call.
The Twin Cities has never seen a crash like this one today, but local hospitals are prepared to handle the consequences. They're prepared because of disaster simulations like this one that take place twice a year. Tonight, if a drill like this occurs for real, the man who put it in motion is Dr. Doug Brunette. He says local hospitals have already been told to stand by.
We know their bed availability in terms of intensive care beds available, general floor beds, burn unit beds, pediatric beds available.
If Dr. Brunette gets a phone call, if those beds become necessary, then he'll reach for a phone himself. He'll dial just 2 numbers, and that will set off a whole cascade of events. Those calls will set off the beepers of dozens of doctors and nurses. They'll know a disaster's in progress and just what to do. In addition, ambulances will head for designated spots at the airport. Once they're at the airport, just as in this drill, physicians will evaluate patients as they're coming off the plane and decide who goes where. Now, it all starts with a single phone call, but it's one that at this point, Dr. Brunette doubts he'll have to make.
Sioux City seems to be a long way from here. We're getting geared up, and if it comes to that, I'm sure we'll be ready.
I talked to officials here at the Hennepin County Medical Center just a few minutes ago, and they now say it's extremely unlikely that any survivors will be brought here to the Twin Cities. They've talked to officials in Iowa who say that despite the pictures we've seen, only 30 of the survivors are actually critically ill. The rest are walking wounded. And by the way, St. Paul has a similar but separate disaster plan than the one we described.
Mike, what about the Red Cross? Are they also geared up?
Yes, they are. They geared up with prepared 4 separate teams to meet those survivors at the Twin City International Airport should it become necessary, including a group of psychologists and a group of nurses and groups to contact their relatives. So they were also all set. It's unlikely, though, that they'll be needed.
Good to know we're prepared for an emergency here. All right, thanks, Mike.
Sure.
There are 13 flights daily between Sioux City and Minneapolis. They are all commuter flights. 2 of them were scheduled to arrive in the Twin Cities tonight, but both flights have been canceled. They are flights 2584 and 2586. Again, those flights out of Sioux City to Minneapolis are canceled. And you can get continued updates on the crash situation on Nightline following Eyewitness News tonight at 10:35.
And we still have a lot more to tell you about tonight.
Including another setback for Will Steger's Antarctica expedition as the heat takes its toll on the sled dogs as they're delayed in Cuba.
One of University of Minnesota's youngest heart-lung transplant patients is going home in style.
And a little later on in our special segment, Minnesota's contributions to space exploration as America prepares to remember the 20th anniversary of a space mission that changed mankind.
Honey, we just picked up the new Hyundai Sonata. We're taking it for a spin.
Sonata?
Yeah, I didn't get the Camry or the Accord.
How much did it cost?
Sonata's got a more powerful standard engine and a lot more room.
George, how much did it cost?
It's your favorite color, and it's got tons of standard features like a tilt steering wheel.
How much did it cost, George?
Well, it costs $2,000 less than the Accord.
$2,000 less?
Uh-huh.
Oh, George, you know my birthday's coming.
The new midsize Sonata from Hyundai. We're making more sense than ever.
The new Pizza Hut Pepperoni Lovers Pizza asks,
Why's everybody always picking on me?
just one bite and you'll know this new pizza is pepperoni paradise. 2 prolific pilings of pepperoni packed between 2 extra plentiful portions of cheese. Now get 1 for only $8.99, or better yet, 2 for just $4 more. New Pepperoni Lovers Pizza.
Why's everybody always picking on me?
You know why.
Making it great.
Before you go on vacation, FINA can make sure your car is ready to go to work.
Driving all day, I gotta do my work. Gotta do my work.
Fill up with our high-octane, super unleaded gasoline with FINA 1 detergent. It works as hard as you play, so your vacation runs smooth, whether you take the high road or the low road. Doesn't your car deserve a friend? Your car's got a friend at FINA.
Levitt's Super Sale. Everything is on sale. So hurry to the Levitt's near you. You'll love it at Levitt's.
More on the crash of Flight 232 now. We have two eyewitness news crews in Sioux City. They left as soon as we got word of the crash.
Jackie Renner and Mike Binkley arrived late this afternoon. They join us live from the Sioux City Gateway Airport with the information they've gathered. And Jackie, I understand you just got back from a news conference. What's the latest there at the field?
A press conference is going on right now. The latest information is that 172 people from the plane were taken to local hospitals. We are told that 6 of those people have died. Those numbers include 4 crew members who were in the cockpit. The man conducting the press conference is the city manager for Sioux City. He says he's been told 284 people were on the plane. The most startling information to come from the news conference was that the engine on the plane literally fell off. It has been found about 90 miles away in a town.
Well, apparently our signal via satellite was interrupted. Certainly some revealing information from Jackie, the fact that the engine dropped off and a different survival count. We are told we have reestablished communications. Jackie, you were just telling us about the engine that dropped off. Can you continue from there?
Apparently problems again. Well, we'll go on.
That's modern technology, right? For the second time in 2 days, one of Will Steger's sled dogs has died.
The Havana heat is to blame again. Godzilla was the dog's name. He was one of 42 sled dogs traveling with the 6-man crew to Antarctica. The dogs were loaded up into the Soviet airliner Sunday and are now in Havana, Cuba. One dog died of heat stroke in the plane. Despite efforts to get the dogs to a cooler spot at a Cuban zoo, the 87-degree weather was too much for the latest victim.
Well, our look at news around the world tonight begins with an update. The first American has now died from a July 7th Israeli bus attack. 39-year-old Rita Levine of Philadelphia died today from injuries she suffered. You'll recall a Palestinian grabbed the wheel and sent the bus crashing down a ravine. A total of 15 people have now died. Members of Poland's National Assembly raised their hands today in favor of Wojciech Jaruzelski. With just one vote to spare, he was elected president of Poland. The Communist Party chief had no opposition, but still needed only a majority vote to assume the presidency. There you see the vote. And Nicaraguans waved red and black flags today as they celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Sandinista Revolution. They gathered in a huge park in Managua and listed the bands and sang songs today. Leading today's celebration, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega. In a speech to the people, he called on President Bush to end his policy of war.
As you may know, we've been following the progress of heart-lung transplant patient Eddie Haynes for weeks now.
Oh boy, do we have good news. Tonight, there's a milestone report involving his road to recovery. 6-year-old Eddie left the hospital today in a stretch limousine. He's going home just 1 month after his transplant. He'll spend another year at his temporary home here in Minnesota before he returns to his home in Wisconsin.
In the last 3 model years, over 400,000 GM owners made the move to Mercury. Now, during the Lincoln Mercury move-out, it's your turn. Get 2.9 APR financing or $1,500 cash back on Tracer 2-door. Or get 2.9 financing or $750 cash back on Topaz. For great rates, rebates, and savings, come in today. Don't miss the big move-out at your Lincoln Mercury dealer now.
La Victoria, Lee, that's all you ever talk about. No way, La Victoria is better than our Picante stuff. Want to bet? Go ahead, bet him. Yeah. Okay, look. Well, maybe La Victoria is a little bit thicker. Now grab a taste. This La Victoria salsa tastes fresh. La Victoria salsa really is thicker and fresher. You can bet on it. I told you not to bet him.
Still to come, 20 years ago tomorrow, Americans landed on the moon. Find out how space travel has led scientists to believe parts of northern Minnesota are just like the moon.
Our name is Bob Ryan. And we sell and lease automobiles all over the Twin Cities.
Aren't you forgetting something?
And our factory-trained technicians give you expert award-winning service.
The loaner.
I'm getting to it. When you bring your car to be serviced at Bob Ryan, you get a free service loaner.
Free loaner.
Because we believe service means serving you.
Just call for an appointment.
Our name is Bob Ryan.
Right.
We get free loaners.
Free
in Brooklyn Center and Minnetonka.
And Buffalo, too.
At NSP, we're working to meet your energy needs
24 hours a day. For 80 years, you've taken us for granted, and that's the way we want to keep it.
System created quite a storm last night. Heavy rain,
NSP, someone you can count on.
I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you... For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives.
Remember that famous phone call? Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of man's first steps on the moon.
Who can forget that thrilling moment? What a day it was. And space travel's about to get more exciting. Tomorrow, President Bush is expected to call for a permanent manned outpost on the moon and then a manned trip to Mars. 20 years ago, today, and the future. Doesn't matter. The University of Minnesota was and is heavily involved. The people at the U have forged a special relationship with NASA.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
the glamorous side of America's foray into space. Astronauts leaving with great fanfare as they venture to places never seen before, around the Earth, around the Moon, and beyond. But there's a whole other side to NASA's space program that many of us never see, and it's happening right in our own backyard. More than a dozen scientists at the University of Minnesota are actively doing research for NASA, and NASA in turn hands over an average $2 million every year to help them do it. From the very early days of the space program, the U has always had a big piece of the pie when it comes to exploring the final frontier.
And we got about, I'd say, 20 pounds of carefully selected, if not documented, samples. Houston, Roger, well done.
On July 20th, 1969, Professor Robert Pepin was watching the first steps on the Moon with special interest.
One of the first things they did when they got out and finished their giant step for mankind was to get a little shovel and fill a bag very quickly with everything they could reach in case they had to leave quickly. They wanted to come back with something. I remember watching the surface activities and wondering how soon I was going to get my mitts on part of those on some of those materials.
When Apollo 11 returned to Earth, Professor Pepin was among the first scientists to get a good look at the moon rocks the astronauts collected. He hoped they would unlock the answers about how the moon was formed. Today, 20 years later, he is still learning new things about the moon.
But now there's a new theory, and it rests solidly on the information we got from the moon. And the new theory is that the moon formed by a gigantic impact of a very large object with the Earth very early in its history.
Using tiny samples of rocks from different sites on the moon, Professor Pepin has put them to the test to learn more about the gases and even charged particles from the sun found to be trapped inside.
We're taking this rock and crushing and grinding it.
The moon rocks have been just as fascinating to Professor Paul Weibland. He found these rocks in Duluth, and when they're crushed and heated, they closely resemble the rocks on the moon. The imitation moon soil is sent to places like Disney's Epcot Center in Florida, where researchers use it to find out if plants could grow in the soil, one crucial element to future plans for people to live and work on the moon.
Ultimately, the futurists believe that there will be something called a lunar civilization. That will be long beyond our time.
Do you believe that?
Well, I think it's inevitable.
And from the lunar base, astronauts could not only explore the moon, but the entire solar system, a dream Weibland shares with thousands of other scientists, and he's dreaming about it in our own backyard.
And we'll hear more from President Bush tomorrow on that. There are other professors at the U of M who do research supported by NASA, from firing off rockets in Alaska to studying the northern lights to experimenting with new controls for a spacecraft. Looks like that work will continue for a long time to come.
One gets a certain amount of satisfaction that you're doing something for somebody else in the future.
The Mitsubishi Rewards of Summer. The personal rewards. And the financial rewards. You could save up to $1,000 through factory-to-dealer incentives on the Mitsubishi Mighty Max, the Mitsubishi Montero, or Or get a great deal on the Mitsubishi Galant, Motor Trend's Import Car of the Year. So don't go unrewarded. The rewards of summer, only at your Twin Cities Mitsubishi Motors dealer today.
We just got this new U.S. West custom ringing thing. It lets me know who to call us for before I answer it. So when it rings normally, I know it's for Mom. When it rings twice, it's an important call for me. And that's a call from Dad's office. So I know to answer it professionally. Hello, Garcia residence. One moment, please.
For new custom ringing, call U.S. West, making the most of your time.
Start your day with oatmeal bread from Country Hearth. A delicious high-fiber bread baked with care by your Country Hearth baker. Specially priced all this week at your favorite store.
An unexpected pleasure. Red Baron microwave singles.
Nice day, nice night.
Very nice, dry.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, you know, it's going to get hot this weekend in the 90s. Not this hot. Bullhead City, Arizona, 120 today.
Ooh.
But it's dry there.
It's dry.
No humidity.
Death Valley.
Still 120.
Yeah, 120. 123, though, in Death Valley, California. And it's dry there, too, as well, Randall. It will be a little bit more humid for us as we approach the 90s over the weekend. The humidity is going to come back as well. There were some very heavy thunderstorms again down the southern part of the United States, and the hardest hit was Alexander, Arkansas. Yeah, this is some severe flash flooding that occurred because of overnight rainfall over 5 inches. 30 families had to be evacuated from their homes, and it's hard to say there was one death as a result of flash flooding. Well, these thunderstorms have now drifted onto the southeast, and here in the upper Midwest, we have the dry weather behind the cold front that caused all that rain down to the south. And outside officially at the airport, our temperature is sitting at 75, the dew point 52, 45% for the relative humidity, a north wind at 13, and the barometric pressure rising at 30.05. We have partly cloudy skies. Today's high temperature made it up almost to average at 83, 61 this morning's low, and no rainfall officially at the airport. Looks like we're going to be dry now for the next couple of days, possibly right on through the weekend. The latest satellite loop shows all the heavier thunderstorms down through the southern part of the Mississippi Valley, right up through the east. That is going to be plaguing them now for the next couple of days as a very slow-moving upper-level low continues to spin over the southern Great Lakes. Heavy rainfall is a possibility from Illinois through Indiana, while here in the upper Midwest and through most of the Dakotas, southern Canada, protected by a ridge of high pressure aloft, and that's going to keep us dry for the next several days. Temperature-wise, we're going to be up into the 80s across most of Minnesota. 90s, though, in the western Dakotas, and that is the area of 90s that's going to spread this way. There's the hot spot down the desert southwest, 100 in teens, and as I said, 120 down there in Bullhead City, Arizona. Forecast map for tomorrow, though, shows high pressure through the midsection of the U.S., partly cloudy skies, plenty of sunshine, a few thunderstorms in northern Rockies, and very wet weather, southern Great Lakes through the eastern seaboard. Forecast for the Twin Cities overnight tonight looks this way. Clear, a little bit of haze in the skies, 58 to 62 for overnight lows. By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, should be a sunny start. Maybe a red sun, though, because of some smoke, and I'm going to tell you about that with 5 weather facts. 62 in the afternoon, plenty of sunshine, highs warmer, 83 to 87. The outlook for tomorrow night, mostly clear, 61 to 65. And on Friday, warmer still, highs reaching the lower 90s. The outlook then for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 90s for highs. And, yeah, the dog days are here for the beginning of next week. It's going to be very humid. A low near 70, but highs well into the 90s by
Dog days what? What's that mean?
That just means it's going to be dog days. Did you see the red sunset tonight? It was gorgeous. This is from Tower Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what that's caused from? Well, that's a layer of smoke covered our horizon tonight. Now, that smoke was blown in from north winds from forest fires out in central Canada. That's a long ways away to get that smoke here, but sunrise and sunset will appear red. The longer wavelength red light gets through the smoke layer. Other wavelength lights get scattered. Smoke should thin and move south of Minnesota by tomorrow afternoon.
So what does it do? Turn more like a regular sun color?
Yeah, it'll turn more like just a yellow.
Okay.
Not the red.
All right.
Beautiful red. Here's the weather check. 79 to 83 for highs. We hit 83, no rain, a lot of sun, so
Right there.
nice. I like that.
We're talking about such a lovely night, the perfect night to go out and see a parade, right?
Yeah.
The Torchlight Parade has wound down near the Government Center in Minneapolis, and you know these people. Well, not these people, some of these people. Our colleagues Stan Turner and Kristen Lindquist and lots of others from our KSTP staff, all of them riding on our satellite floats. They seem to be having lots of fun along with everybody else at the parade tonight.
My sister and I made this commercial for KS95's 95 Days of Summer contest.
Hey, Mom and Dad, help!
KS95's #1 music station.
For 10 years in a row!
And to thank everyone listening, they're giving away
More money than ever before!
$1, $10
For a cool trip anywhere under the sun!
Just send in a postcard like Mom is.
And listen to KS95. When you hear your name, call in and win!
Always 95 and sunny, KS95.
When you think about it, it's not surprising that people love Perkins' new Skillet Scramblin' so much more than other places' breakfast. After all, we start with the finest cheeses, meats, seafood, and vegetables, and scramble them up with 3 country fresh eggs. Then serve them on a toasted English muffin half with our specialty potatoes and a fresh baked muffin. Where else could you get breakfast this good? At another Perkins.
The best time to buy a car or truck is right now at Midway Chevrolet or Midway Hyundai. Today, Midway Hyundai has $1,000 rebates, XLs as low as $59.95, and great prices on the hot new midsize Sonata. Here at Midway Chevrolet, you get financing as low as 2.9% or $1,000 rebates on most of Chevrolet's popular car models. Plus, on full-size Chevy pickups, you get automatic transmissions free. We're conveniently located. Take I-94, exit Snelling or Lexington on University Avenue, St. Paul.
Well, when the Twins win, sometimes they win big, and when they lose...
They lose big, you know. I think the Dome just became Joe Carter's home away from home.
He didn't like it here.
Yeah, 2 homers last night, 3 more tonight, 3 home runs. He also drove in 6 runs as the Indians beat the Twins 10-1, snapping their 4-game losing streak. This is about the only thing Twins fans had to cheer about tonight. Second inning, Joey Bell sends one deep, but watch Kirby Puckett at the wall. Leaps and makes a marvelous catch. Bell did get a home run later, though. But again, it was Carter who stole the show. 8th inning, he drills Herman Gonzalez pitch into the left center field seats for his 3rd homer of the night. This is his 4th time in his career he's hit 3 in a game, tying the American League record set by Lou Gehrig. Twins lost the game 10-1. They had just 2 hits all night off Cleveland starter John Farrell. The British Open gets underway tomorrow. England's Nick Faldo is the favorite, according to the British odds makers, who also say that if they like any American at all, it's Curtis Strange, who has the unique opportunity to make 1989 the year he won both the U.S. and British Open.
I'm ready for that. I think I'm a little more keyed up this year than I was last year. Last year was really an overwhelming experience for the Open, and this year I kind of knew what to expect, and I'm ready for the Open. I look forward to it, just to get over there and hopefully play well, get used to the cold weather.
Not quite. In fact, if the weather holds, this is going to be one of the most unusual British Opens ever. Warm, sunny, and dry. Right now, let's check in with our British correspondent.
Faldo reckons his biggest threat is Curtis Strange, the smiling American's bidding to become only the 6th player to win both the U.S. and the British Open in the same year.
We'll have more from him tomorrow. The Timberwolves open their free agent and rookie camp today. The next time they convene, it'll be for their regular camp this fall. So a very intense time, not only for the players who are trying to make this team, but for Coach Bill Musselman, who needs to start making some hard decisions now. Today, all of the players found out very quickly where they stand.
Well, I like his style of play. He's very organized. He, he's not going to BS you. He's going to tell you just like it is, and that's what I heard about him, and that's what I've seen so far. So, that's a sign of a winning coach. And
at the Tour de France, Greg LeMond has lost the overall lead with 4 stages to go. Laurent Fignon of France overtook LeMond in the mountains today and leads him by 23 seconds in the overall standings. The race winds up on Sunday. Real quickly, let me check some scores for you. The Oakland-Detroit game was rained out. Kansas City trailing Milwaukee. Boston leading Texas. Seattle beats Baltimore, and New York loses to Chicago in the first of two. Nightcap was rained out. The National Giants beat the Cards. Atlanta beats Miami.